This right here is one of the best mid-range phones that you can get right now, and in this video, I'm gonna prove it to you. Unlike previous years, the mid-range market right now it's quite competitive, with the new Galaxy A55, the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, and the new Nothing Phone 2a. The last one is the cheapest of the three, started at only $350 here in the US. And I think that for this price, it's a great deal. Let's look at its design, for example, which follows the same line as previous phones, although with fewer little lights. And look, if it was up to me, they could remove all the lights because I find them quite useless, but I do regret not buying the white version that looks kinda cool. Anyway, this is also a beautiful phone, and unlike many others, it's much lighter too. However, there are two things that I need to criticize. The first one is that it gets dirty a lot. Seriously, this phone just gets dirty by looking at it. But the most annoying thing are the edges on the screen that scratches your fingers when you're doing this. This used to happen with the first one, but it has been resolved on the Nothing Phone too. Aside from this, I don't mind the plastic frame because I do like the feeling of it. But if we're being objective, yeah, it's a very attractive phone, but in its ergonomic, when you're holding it, it still has room for improvements. And I think I will say this about every aspect of this phone, but at the same time, I recognize that Nothing has found a good balance. Because although it doesn't have water resistant, it has a unique design. And even if its screen is not as bright outdoors, its quality is more than enough for most people. But then again, the sound of its speakers are not as clear as in other devices. Another example of this balance can be seen with its charging speed, that right here we can get it at 45 watts, 20 watts more than the Galaxy A55 and much less than those of the Redmi. But then again, it has the advantage that you can use any charger that gets that output power, something that you cannot do with a Xiaomi phone. And look, for $350 you won't find the perfect phone, so it all ends up being what the company thinks it should compromise. And that's why I got really happy when I knew that Nothing did not compromise in performance, since this is the best aspect of this phone. To start with, we continue with stock Android with a few aesthetic changes overall, something that really helps to improve its speed and experience using it. Because look, in my speed test opening apps, it has been faster than the A55 or the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, even having the same processor as this last one. And if you compare the results in different benchmarks, well, it does not have any advantage. All of this is due to the better optimization, the lack of bloatware, and also extra services that usually come with HyperOS or One UI. And this will not only improve your experience while using the phone, but also the duration of the battery, since with the Nothing Phone 2a, I got almost the same results that I got with the Galaxy A55, which, with both were excellent. And yeah, it's true, for this price you can actually get other phones that are faster, just like the Poco X6 Pro with the Dimensity 8300 Ultra. But if you're looking for phones with stock Android, you won't find a lot of options, probably the Pixel 7a or the new Pixel 8a that will cost a lot more. If you're interested in the camera performance, I recommend you to check this comparison versus the Galaxy A55 and the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus, but in this review, I will just tell you exactly what you need to know. First of all, the photos this phone can achieve are great, and if you're a fan of a good saturation and contrast, well, you will love them. But unlike the Pixel or Samsung, you won't get very neutral results. Photos tend to be more overexposed, and on several occasions, well, their saturation is somewhat exaggerated, not to mention their sharpness that falls a little bit short. It feels as if they're doing this to compensate, the limitations of their main sensor. Although, when we see the quality of the photos with the selfie camera, well, in this case, they're actually great. And in video mode, you will basically see the same trend. Colors continue to be somewhat saturated, but perhaps not as noticeable. Its stabilization is also quite good when recording in 4K 30 frames per second, although with the front camera it only reaches 1080p. But overall, I would say that the results are quite good and what you could expect for this price. You may be a little bit confused because I started the review saying that this is one of the best mid-range phones that you can get right now, and then I end up all the review criticizing it, but no, I'm not contradicting myself. If I had to give it a score, it will probably be less than the Galaxy A55 or the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus. I think that both phones are a little bit better in the cameras or in the design. But at the same time, my experience, with this phone, the performance, the system, it was much better. And for someone that values that the most, it's a better phone. You know, even if it's not objectively, for me, this is the best mid-range that you can get right now. But anyway, as I said, this is just my opinion, and if you value the design, you need water resistance, or an even faster charging speed, well, get any of the other two. But anyway, that's just my opinion, and if you have a different one, I will read it in the comments. I see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao!